That looks like the pig off Dean's
It
desk.
is. How did you know?
No way. Oh,
Ba, 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 ba.
ba 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 ba. Have you stopped recording yet?
No.
There better be a good bit of editing going on at the end there.
Oh, there will be. Hi. We've got a few videos under his belt now, so it's about time that we had a quick video about the channel, about who we are, how the channel came about, how we came about, and what you can expect from us. So today we're going to be talking about how we became friends, my lifelong passion for two seats, Keith changing from two wheels to two seats, our trips to date, and what the future holds for two seats as a channel.
So I'm going to start with a history lesson, the history of how Keith met Neil, and that was at Speedy Bake. Speedy Bake's a bakery down in Bradford, and I was taken on as the interim manufacturing manager. Neil was part of the management team. I noticed pretty quickly that he did much more than whatever his job title happened to be. Originally, he looked after the agency labour, he looked after training, and he looked after staff engagement, and that's where there was a bit of a crossover with my role. But really, socially, we became work buddies almost immediately, day one. And it didn't take long for us to be busy buddies. We share the very same humour, we share music, literally. We share cars, often. We share food, and we share love of beer. And to tell some stories, which we like to do now on two seats. So one of the biggest adventures we had was a road trip to Italy, but more of that later.
My passion for two seats started in 1978 at the tender age of 10 when I went to Simon Gifford's house to watch the World Cup. On the drive was his mother's brand new metallic green Fiat X19 1300. It was gorgeous. I decided there and then that one day I will own one. I never did. But I did scratch my two-seater itch in 2012 when I traded in a perfectly gorgeous, low-mileage BMW 3 Series Compact for a rust bucket high-mileage Mark 1 MX-5 in British Racing Green. I ran her for 2 years before it went off to the rust cemetery to die. I had a love-hate relationship with that car. It was mainly hate, but I loved to hate it, but I loved it anyway. So when I got rid of that, I ran a nearly new Fiesta for 3 years, and I honestly felt as though I'd sold my soul to beige. It was a white car, but you know what I mean. It was just like the lifeblood had been sucked out of me. So I picked up a low mileage Mark III MX-5 in September 2016, immediately felt alive again. I really did. Not long after I bought George, I started talking to Keith about a crazy idea that I'd hatched to drive to Italy and back in a tiny two-seater roadster. Who would have believed that one day we would do it? Thelma Louise was born out of a desire really to document our road trip. More for us to look back in years to come. But we've still got 278 members in our Facebook group, so maybe they just forgot to leave. We will be sharing videos of that trip soon, and we'll have more sessions like this where we'll put videos up here somewhere and just chat about it. But in a nutshell, we booked a villa just outside Pisa, Italy. Keith and I spent 3 amazing days driving down through France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany and Switzerland, and the girls flew down. We returned home, again that was a 3-day, via Lake Geneva, and then straight up through France. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. The story continues. We did 3,000 brilliant miles driving to Italy and back without a hitch. Then on our return, George was nearly written off in December 19 after someone didn't see me. And then another twat managed to finish me off in July 22. Heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. This was also 3 days before we flew to Greece for 10 days, so my holiday was consumed, not only by recovery from the accident, and I was scarred, but also searching for a replacement. Now I had a tough choice to make. Do I go for another Mark III, which were plentiful and a reasonable price? Do I go for a Mark 1? But what about a Mark II? So that got me thinking. The replacement was Thelma, a low-mileage, immaculate Mark II VVT Sport that I travelled all the way to Wales to pick up. So as I'm sat around the pool, or in a bar in Greece, searching for an MX-5, some 4,000 miles away, and I've checked, it is 4,000 miles, Keith was helping out with the search. I think a light bulb kind of fires in his head.
I'm going to take over here. So, Neil's right. I'd spent a couple of weeks looking for a good replacement for Neil's MX-5, and I was on several different websites, Auto Trader, Gumtree, etc., etc. For every 5 or 6 of these MX-5s that came up, a cheeky little Toyota MR2 advert would appear, and then it became sort of evens between MX-5s and MR2s. Then Neil bought a car, and then it was all MR2s, and I was obsessed by looking at Toyota MR2s, thinking that, long term I would sell my motorbike, buy an old MR2. But for now, I'm just going to keep looking. Then in August 2022, the stars aligned. MR2 for sale, 10 minutes from my in-laws' house in Hartlepool. I had a planned family visit that weekend, followed by a planned solo visit to go to a gig in Stockton 5 days later. What's not to love? So Saturday came round, a test drive in what's now fondly known as Lou, just for fun, because I'm unlikely I'll be getting this one. Got behind the wheel. Actually, not true. I saw it parked up ready to test drive. I knew this was the one. But I did invite Neil to come up, give a second opinion.
And I did.
Neil's second opinion was, this is the one. This is the one. So, test drive confirmed it, shook hands, deal was done, then on to the pickup. So I'm in Livingston, the car's in Hartlepool. Got a train down to Darlington. Got a lift from the mother-in-law across to Hartlepool. Got in my new car. I drove around 10 minutes to a pub to celebrate, and we had a nice bar lunch with my in-laws. I then ran up to and around South Shields, where my son Kieran lives, just to show off the car in the brilliant sunshine. The sun was splitting the trees, so the top was down, obviously, all afternoon. I returned to Stockton for the gig that night, which was a band called the Twilight Sad. Fantastic band, but the whole gig I'm itching just to get back in the car. So pre-encore, I left. I got in the car. It was 10:15. It was an August night. It was starting to get a little chilly, but what the hell? The top went down, and I took the little Lou up the A1 all the way back to Edinburgh, then on to Livingston, about 1:30 in the morning before the hood went back up. Heating was on, little ball of fire that was in the front of the car, and I was home a very happy chappy.
Oh, bless. Oh, so after you'd taken Lou up the A road, Keith, then obviously my attention started turning to getting together and getting the girls back together. That would be Thelma and Louise. Now, one of the downsides of life, it kind of gets in the way of having fun, and the title for this section is that we're busy people. So, we're busy people. We live 225 miles apart, so it's not always easy to arrange a quick B-road blast. But we have managed 3 sessions so far since Lou came on the scene last year. The first session was more like a hairdresser's convention with a photo show at Sandal Castle, followed by a B-road blast around Emily and a photo opportunity next to Emily Moore Mast. How predictable. However, our next trip had to wait until August of this year with our Yorkshire Dales and Moors trip. It was a very long day in the saddle, which took in Buttertubs Pass and Long Causeway up to Tanhill for a pint and lunch, then across country to Kirby Moorside and Huntler Hole, which was quite a long way on reflection. to enjoy the pleasures of the North Yorkshire moors over Blakey Ridge before a well-earned, well, I think it were well-earned anyway, fish and chips supper in Saltburn before we went our separate ways. The full day out really sparked a desire to do more, and we checked calendars quite quickly and planned our next epic road trip. And it was an epic road trip. So the next one was all around the lakes. Now, we've already shared 2 videos from our lakes trip, so it shouldn't need an introduction. But just in case you haven't seen them yet, Penrith is the midpoint for Keith and I. So it was a logical meeting place. A full Cumbrian breakfast in Pooley Bridge set us up for a day on the passes during Storm Babette. We really did have the roads to ourselves because no one else was stupid enough to venture out. If you've seen the footage, you'll understand. So we're up, we're just above Enningham Water, and it's a bit windy. The only challenge in the day really was that I hadn't planned camera strategy in case it rained. So the 360 cameras weren't in the best place. However, we live and learn.
All right, back to me then. So, as well as reminiscing, we just want to talk to you about what we plan to do with the channel and what's ahead. The idea of Two Seats is to share stories, images and videos from our previous adventures. Not all of the discussion will involve cars, and certainly not all techie stuff. We're not Top Gear. We'll be posting more shorts in between longer pieces of filming. We'll be in our respective offices like we are today, recording chats on all sorts of topics. Bill, behave. We'll be pulling out some older footage from Thelma Louise trips, and we'll be posting them. And some will have new narrative added to enhance the experience. And we will be having many more adventures that will be filmed and shared on the Two Seats channel. We've got some plans already in place for 24, somewhere around Scotland, maybe 2 of those, somewhere back in Northumbria way, so watch this space. In terms of other stuff, we will generally be capturing the 2 of us talking to either the camera or to each other about just any old nonsense. Obviously, we'll talk cars, but we'll both love music, so we'll be talking music. We'll be talking TV. We might even talk movies. I don't watch many, but we might. We might talk about the dogs. Murphy and Ziggy have to get a mention at some point.
Yeah, Murphy.
And we'll definitely talk about the frustrations of being middle-aged, grumpy men. That kind of thing. Over to you, Neil.
There's many of those. Now, anyone that knows me knows I'm a bit of a geek, a bit of a tech. Anyone that knows Keith will know that Keith is not. You're not a geek at all, are you? So
I'm definitely not a techie geek.
I tend to do the tech side. So one of the things that I am interested in this section of all the gear and no idea, we're interested in capturing our days out. So our mini adventures, I'm interested in capturing footage to make really interesting content for you guys to watch. If you type Hard Not Pass into YouTube search, there's hundreds of videos. There's loads of them. Just try. Well, not yet. After this, just type it in. There's somewhere an hour long. No music, single cameras. But they all manage thousands of views, and I don't know how they're doing it. But I'd rather create something that's easier on the eye and the ear. So we're striving to improve and make each video more engaging, more interesting, more cinematic, if you can forgive me for using the C word. And another aspect to our content creation is that it was buying George that really sparked my interest in aerial photography. And I entered the quadcopter hobby really to make MX5 content, but I didn't really. So I was sort of consumed by this new hobby. But really, I've kind of come back to it and come back to using quads to capture MX5 related content. I think what I've found is I'm probably better at creating motoring footage using quads than create quad footage because my skills just don't pay the bills. So, you can come to expect far more quad footage in our videos from next year. If you'd like a taster, there's an old Thelma and Louise video which is being reposted soon into 2 seats to give you an idea of what's to come.
Yeah, so that's it. This was just an opener. It's not all cars, but it's mainly cars. The reason for us being is Thelma and Louise, the 2 cars. But they're a vehicle for our conversations. See what I did there? Yeah, I'll provide most of the humour. That's right. So look, if you've enjoyed what you've seen prior to today, or if you've enjoyed today, why don't you subscribe? Come along for the journey. See what I did there? Come along for the journey, car. I'm going to stop now.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, or just like this, share it among friends. And, there's a comments box. So if you want to leave comments on the type of material you'd like to see from us, keep the comments clean. And
Please.
We'll do our best to satisfy your needs. But, yeah, it's just a bit of fun. Two best mates who unfortunately live 225 miles apart. So doing all we can to see each other and speak to each other, whether that be online or whether that be in Thelma and Louise. Before I burst into tears, that is it.
Oh, bless.
See you again soon.
You'll also see Bill. So we're going to be taking Bill on tour with us. Now, Bill is Bill the Cat, who appeared in a comic strip back in the early 80s. I had him in my 1988 XR2 with a can of Stella fastened to its paws. It looked hilarious, so that is going to get strapped to the MX-5 somewhere.